Your kidneys are under assault before you even sit down for breakfast, and the vast majority of people have no idea it is happening. The beverage you reach for within minutes of waking up has a direct and measurable impact on how efficiently your renal system operates for the remaining 16 or 17 hours of the day. Some choices ease the burden on these vital organs. Others accelerate a decline that takes years to become noticeable, and by the time symptoms surface, permanent damage may have already occurred. Throughout the night, while you sleep, your kidneys are engaged in continuous, demanding labor. They process roughly 50 gallons of blood every 24 hours, extracting metabolic waste, regulating electrolyte balance, and maintaining fluid equilibrium. By morning, they have been working for 6 to 8 uninterrupted hours without any incoming hydration. The concentrated state of your blood and urine at dawn represents a critical juncture. What you consume next either alleviates that strain or compounds it significantly. This is not about trendy wellness fads or miracle cures marketed on social media. The drinks discussed here are grounded in physiological reality and supported by clinical research. Each one addresses a specific mechanism relevant to renal health, from oxidative stress reduction to infection prevention to mineral regulation. Consider the scale of the problem. Chronic kidney disease affects an estimated 800 million people worldwide. The majority of those individuals were unaware of their condition during the early stages when intervention would have been most effective. By the time elevated creatinine levels or reduced glomerular filtration rates appear on routine blood work, the kidney has typically lost 30 to 40% of its functional capacity. The disease progresses silently, and the daily choices that accelerate or decelerate that progression begin at the very start of each day. What makes morning beverage selection so consequential is the convergence of physiological factors that exist upon waking. Cortisol levels are at their daily peak. Blood viscosity is elevated from overnight fluid losses. Urinary concentration reaches its maximum, and the gastrointestinal tract is primed for rapid absorption after the fasting period. The substance you introduce into this environment encounters minimal competition for absorption and maximum physiological receptivity. A protective beverage consumed at 7 in the morning has a fundamentally different metabolic impact than the same beverage consumed at 2 in the afternoon, when hydration levels have already been partially restored and competing dietary inputs dilute the effect. Today, I am going to walk through 7 of the most effective morning beverages for kidney protection, what they do, why they work, how to prepare them correctly, and the mistakes that can undermine their benefits entirely. 1. Unsweetened cranberry juice. There is a reason nephrologists and neurologists have referenced cranberries for decades. This is not folk medicine. The compounds present in cranberry juice interact with your urinary tract and renal system in ways that have been documented across multiple peer-reviewed studies, and incorporating it into your morning routine addresses several distinct threats to kidney health simultaneously. The first consideration is potassium content. Cranberries are among the lowest potassium fruits available. This matters profoundly because compromised kidneys lose their ability to excrete potassium efficiently. When potassium accumulates in the bloodstream, a condition called hyperkalemia develops, which can cause dangerous cardiac arrhythmias. Individuals with diminished renal function must monitor potassium intake carefully. And cranberry juice provides hydration and nutritional value without adding to that burden. For those with healthy kidneys, this low potassium profile means the drink supports filtration without creating additional workload. Beyond potassium management, cranberry juice delivers a concentrated dose of ascorbic acid, vitamin C, one of the most potent water-soluble antioxidants available. Your kidneys are metabolically active organs. The filtration process itself generates reactive oxygen species, unstable molecules that damage cellular membranes, and DNA if left unchecked. Vitamin C neutralizes these molecules before they can inflict cumulative harm on nephron tissue. Over months and years, this antioxidant defense translates into measurably preserved kidney function. However, the most widely recognized benefit of cranberry juice relates to urinary tract infection prevention. The mechanism is specific and well understood. Proanthocyanidins, a class of polyphenolic compounds concentrated in cranberries, inhibit the adhesion of Escherichia coli bacteria to the epithelial lining of the urinary tract. When bacteria cannot attach to bladder walls, they are expelled during normal urination. This is significant for kidney health because untreated or recurrent urinary tract infections frequently ascend to the kidneys. causing pyelonephritis, a serious infection that can result in scarring and permanent functional loss. Preventing bacterial colonization at the bladder level eliminates this upstream threat entirely. Morning consumption is strategically important. After a full night without fluid intake, urine reaches its highest concentration of the day. Concentrated urine creates a favorable environment for bacterial proliferation and mineral crystallization. Introducing cranberry juice at this precise moment dilutes the urinary contents, delivers anti-adhesion compounds when vulnerability is greatest, and reinitiates the hydration cycle your body requires. The critical caveat is product selection. The majority of commercially available cranberry juice products contain substantial quantities of added sugar, sometimes as much as 30 grams per serving. Excess sugar intake damages the endothelial lining of blood vessels supplying the kidneys, contributes to insulin resistance, and promotes systemic inflammation. All of these outcomes directly impair renal function. The only acceptable option is pure, unsweetened cranberry juice. If the tartness is difficult to tolerate, dilute it with filtered water at a ratio of 1 part juice to 3 parts water. For maximum control over quality, prepare it at home by simmering fresh or frozen cranberries in water for 10 to 15 minutes, straining the pulp, and refrigerating the liquid. A small amount of fresh lemon juice enhances both flavor and antioxidant content without introducing harmful sugars. There is an additional dimension to cranberry juice that receives insufficient attention: its effect on urinary pH. Cranberry juice produces mildly acidic urine, which creates an inhospitable environment for certain types of bacteria, including those most commonly responsible for urinary tract infections. This pH modulation works synergistically with the proanthocyanidin adhesion blocking mechanism, providing a two-layered defense against bacterial colonization that neither mechanism could achieve independently. Cranberry juice also contains modest concentrations of manganese, a trace mineral involved in enzymatic antioxidant defenses, and dietary fiber in whole berry preparations. While the fiber is largely removed in juice form, selecting minimally processed versions retains more of the fruit's complete nutritional profile. Consistency determines outcomes. A single glass of cranberry juice provides transient benefits. Daily consumption, particularly during the morning window, produces the sustained anti-adhesion and antioxidant effects necessary for meaningful kidney protection. This is a long-term strategy, not a one-time intervention. The kidneys do not recover from chronic damage quickly or completely. Prevention through sustained protective habits is always superior to treatment after dysfunction has been established. 2. Green tea. Green tea occupies a unique position among beverages because its kidney protective properties operate through multiple independent pathways. It is not merely a source of hydration or a vehicle for caffeine. The bioactive compounds within green tea leaves interact with renal tissue, cardiovascular function, and metabolic regulation in ways that collectively reduce the long-term risk of kidney disease. The primary active compounds are catechins, a subclass of flavonoids with documented anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity. Among these, epigallocatechin gallate, commonly abbreviated as EGCG, has received the most extensive research attention. EGCG reduces oxidative damage to kidney cells by scavenging free radicals and modulating inflammatory signaling pathways. Chronic low-grade inflammation is a central driver of progressive kidney disease, and any intervention that attenuates this process offers meaningful renal protection. Kidney stone prevention is another area where green tea demonstrates clear value. Calcium oxalate stones, the most common variety, form when oxalate concentrations in urine exceed the saturation threshold. EGCG has been shown to reduce urinary oxalate excretion and inhibit the nucleation and aggregation of calcium oxalate crystals. For individuals genetically predisposed to stone formation or those with dietary habits that elevate oxalate levels, regular green tea consumption provides a pharmacologically relevant defense mechanism. The cardiovascular connection cannot be overstated. Hypertension ranks among the top 2 causes of chronic kidney disease worldwide, alongside diabetes. Sustained high blood pressure damages the delicate glomerular capillaries responsible for blood filtration, gradually reducing the number of functional nephrons. Green tea polyphenols promote endothelial nitric oxide production, which relaxes arterial walls and lowers peripheral resistance. The blood pressure reductions documented in clinical trials are modest individually, typically 2 to 5 millimeters of mercury, but over years of consistent consumption, the cumulative protective effect on renal vasculature is substantial. If you are finding this information valuable, take a moment to hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you receive future content on kidney health and disease prevention. Body composition also influences kidney workload. Excess adipose tissue is metabolically active and produces inflammatory cytokines that circulate systemically, including through the renal vasculature. Green tea catechins have been demonstrated to enhance thermogenesis and fat oxidation, supporting gradual weight management. Reducing body fat lowers the inflammatory burden on kidneys and decreases the hyperfiltration that occurs when excess tissue demands greater blood volume processing. Preparation technique directly affects efficacy. Water temperature above 90 degrees Celsius degrades catechins, reducing the very compounds that make green tea beneficial. Heat water to approximately 75 to 85 degrees, hot but well below boiling, and steep the leaves or bag for 2 to 3 minutes. Extended steeping increases tannin extraction, producing bitterness and potentially reducing bioavailability of beneficial compounds. 1 to 3 cups daily provides the range of catechin intake supported by clinical evidence. Avoid adding sugar, which triggers insulin responses that counteract the metabolic benefits. A thin slice of lemon or a few crushed mint leaves can enhance palatability without compromising the drink's therapeutic profile. For individuals sensitive to caffeine, decaffeinated green tea retains the majority of its catechin content. The decaffeination process removes most stimulant compounds while preserving the polyphenolic fraction responsible for antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity. There is no physiological reason to avoid green tea based solely on caffeine concerns when decaffeinated options are readily available. There is emerging evidence that green tea polyphenols may also exert protective effects against drug-induced nephrotoxicity. Many commonly prescribed medications, including certain antibiotics, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and contrast agents used in medical imaging, carry known risks of kidney injury. While green tea should never be considered a substitute for medical supervision during these exposures, the baseline antioxidant protection provided by regular catechin intake may contribute to cellular resilience when the kidneys encounter transient toxic insults. Furthermore, green tea consumption has been associated with improved lipid profiles in multiple clinical studies. Reduced levels of low-density lipoprotein cholesterol and triglycerides contribute to better vascular health throughout the body, including within the renal vasculature. Atherosclerotic changes in the arteries supplying the kidneys reduce blood flow and oxygen delivery, contributing to ischemic damage over time. By supporting healthier lipid metabolism, green tea addresses yet another upstream risk factor for progressive kidney deterioration. Morning consumption aligns with the body's post-fasting state. The mild diuretic effect of green tea promotes early urination, flushing concentrated overnight waste from the urinary system. Simultaneously, absorbed catechins begin circulating through renal tissue within 30 to 60 minutes. Providing antioxidant coverage during the period when oxidative stress from resumed metabolic activity is increasing. This timing maximizes the functional benefit of every cup. 3. Kidney supportive smoothies. Whole food smoothies represent a fundamentally different approach to morning kidney protection compared to single ingredient beverages. Rather than delivering 1 or 2 targeted compounds, a well-constructed smoothie provides a broad spectrum of micronutrients, dietary fiber, protein, and hydration in a form that the gastrointestinal system processes with minimal effort. For individuals managing early-stage kidney concerns or simply pursuing preventive care, smoothies offer unmatched nutritional density per serving. The foundation of any kidney-conscious smoothie should be low-potassium, antioxidant-rich berries. Blueberries and strawberries are the 2 most evidence-supported options. Both contain high concentrations of anthocyanins and other polyphenolic compounds that directly protect nephron cells from oxidative injury. Research published in nephrology journals has demonstrated that polyphenol-rich diets correlate with slower rates of glomerular filtration decline in aging populations. These compounds also support mitochondrial function within kidney cells, ensuring that the enormous energy demands of continuous blood filtration are met without cellular exhaustion. The potassium consideration applies here as well. Bananas, mangoes, and avocados, popular smoothie ingredients, contain potassium levels that can be problematic for individuals with reduced kidney function. Blueberries and strawberries deliver comparable nutritional benefits with significantly lower potassium per serving, making them the safer and more responsible choice. Plain, unsweetened yogurt serves as an ideal liquid and protein base. The protein content supports tissue maintenance and repair, including the specialized cells lining the renal tubules. Equally important, yogurt contains viable probiotic cultures that influence kidney health through the gut-kidney axis, a bidirectional communication pathway between intestinal microbiota and renal function. A healthier gut microbiome produces fewer uremic toxins, metabolic byproducts that the kidneys must filter, effectively reducing renal workload from the source. Sweetened yogurt products introduce unnecessary sugars that provoke glycemic responses and should be strictly avoided. The timing advantage of morning smoothies is physiological. After the overnight fasting period, the body enters a catabolic state where stored nutrients are being depleted. A nutrient-dense smoothie provides immediate bioavailable fuel without requiring the extensive digestive processing that solid foods demand. Blood sugar remains stable, avoiding the sharp spikes and subsequent crashes that occur with refined carbohydrate breakfasts. Glycemic volatility directly damages the microvasculature supplying the kidneys, so blood sugar stability is itself a form of renal protection. One pervasive error undermines the kidney benefits of smoothies entirely: excessive sugar addition. Honey, agave syrup, fruit juice concentrates, and flavored syrups transform a protective beverage into a metabolic liability. Even natural sugars from high glycemic fruits can produce undesirable blood glucose excursions when consumed in liquid form, which accelerates absorption. The inherent sweetness of berries should provide sufficient palatability. If additional sweetness is genuinely needed, a very small quantity of stevia or monk fruit extract, both of which have negligible glycemic impact, is acceptable. A practical kidney protective smoothie recipe requires nothing elaborate. Combine half a cup of fresh or frozen blueberries or strawberries with 3/4 of a cup of plain unsweetened yogurt and a small amount of water or ice to achieve desired consistency. Blend until smooth. For additional fiber and omega-3 fatty acids, which support cardiovascular health and indirectly benefit renal perfusion, add 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. A small handful of raw spinach provides folate and magnesium without substantially increasing potassium content, though individuals on potassium-restricted diets should consult their physician before adding leafy grains. The principle governing smoothie construction is deliberate simplicity. Every ingredient should serve a specific nutritional purpose related to kidney support, hydration, or metabolic regulation. Avoid the temptation to add multiple fruits, protein powders with artificial additives, or commercial smoothie mixes that contain preservatives and sweeteners. The kidney-friendly smoothie is a precision tool, not a disposal for whatever happens to be in the refrigerator. It is also worth noting that the liquid form of smoothies increases the speed at which nutrients reach the bloodstream compared to whole solid foods requiring extensive chewing and gastric processing. This rapid bioavailability is advantageous in the morning context, where the body is emerging from a catabolic fasting state and cellular uptake of antioxidants and micronutrients is heightened. The kidneys begin receiving protective compounds within minutes, rather than the hour or more required for nutrients from solid breakfast foods to become systemically available. For those managing early-stage chronic kidney disease under medical supervision, smoothies can be precisely tailored to meet specific dietary restrictions while still providing enjoyable nutrition. By controlling every ingredient, you eliminate the uncertainty inherent in processed foods and restaurant meals, where hidden sodium, phosphorus additives, and excess potassium may be present in quantities that compromise renal function without your knowledge. If you are learning something new from this content, show your support by liking this video, dropping a comment below, and subscribing to the channel for more in-depth health discussions. 4. Lemon-infused lemon water deserves separate consideration from plain water because the addition of citrus juice introduces a specific biochemical advantage that addresses one of the most common and painful kidney conditions, nephrolithiasis or kidney stone formation. Citric acid, abundantly present in lemon juice, increases urinary citrate levels. Citrate binds to calcium in the urine, forming soluble complexes that prevent calcium from combining with oxalate or phosphate to create insoluble stones. This chelation mechanism has been studied extensively, and citrate supplementation, whether through pharmaceutical preparations or dietary sources, is a standard recommendation in the management and prevention of recurrent calcium-based kidney stones. A single lemon squeezed into a glass of water provides a meaningful dose of citric acid. Consumed in the morning, when urine is at its most concentrated and stone-forming potential is highest, lemon water provides immediate protective benefit at the point of greatest vulnerability. The fluid volume simultaneously dilutes mineral concentrations, creating a dual mechanism of stone prevention. Beyond citrate delivery, lemon juice contains flavonoids with antioxidant properties, though at lower concentrations than those found in green tea or berries. The vitamin C content contributes to systemic antioxidant defenses, but should be consumed in moderation. Excessively high vitamin C intake can paradoxically increase oxalate production in some individuals, potentially elevating stone risk. 1 lemon per day represents a safe and beneficial quantity for the vast majority of people. Preparation is straightforward, but details matter. Use fresh lemon juice, never bottled concentrates, which frequently contain preservatives and have undergone processing that degrades citric acid content. Squeeze half to 1 whole lemon into 12 to 16 ounces of room temperature or lukewarm water. Cold water is acceptable, but room temperature facilitates faster gastric emptying and absorption. Avoid adding sugar, honey, or any sweetener. The purpose of this beverage is biochemical, not gustatory, and sweeteners introduce metabolic costs that offset the renal benefits. One additional consideration: the acidity of lemon water can erode dental enamel over time. Drinking through a straw minimizes tooth contact, and rinsing the mouth with plain water after consumption further protects dental surfaces. Do not brush teeth immediately after consuming acidic beverages, as the temporarily softened enamel is more susceptible to abrasion. For individuals who find lemon water insufficient as a standalone morning beverage, it serves excellently as a preliminary drink consumed 15 to 20 minutes before breakfast, or another kidney-supportive option such as green tea. This layered approach maximizes the duration and diversity of renal protective exposure throughout the morning hours. 5. Plain water. It would be a serious oversight to discuss kidney health without giving appropriate weight to the single most important substance your renal system requires: water. No supplement, superfood, or specialized beverage can substitute for adequate hydration with plain, uncontaminated water. Every other drink on this list is supplementary. Water is foundational. The mechanics are unambiguous. Your kidneys require sufficient water volume to dissolve waste products, transport them through the nephrons, and excrete them as urine. When water intake is inadequate, blood becomes more viscous, filtration pressure increases, and the concentration of dissolved solutes rises beyond optimal levels. Chronic mild dehydration, a condition far more prevalent than most people recognize, forces the kidneys into a compensatory state that gradually degrades functional capacity. Morning hydration carries particular urgency. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, during which no fluids are consumed, but insensible losses through respiration and perspiration continue, the body reaches its lowest hydration point of the entire day. Blood viscosity is elevated, urine osmolality is at its peak, and the kidneys have been operating in a fluid-restricted environment for hours. Providing water immediately upon waking restores circulatory volume, reduces the mechanical strain on glomerular membranes, and enables the prompt excretion of metabolic waste that accumulated overnight. Water also plays a structural role in maintaining the integrity of renal tissue itself. The medullary regions of the kidney, where urine is concentrated through osmotic gradients, are particularly sensitive to dehydration-induced damage. Prolonged periods of concentrated urine increase the risk of tubular injury and interstitial fibrosis, pathological changes that are largely irreversible once established. Consistent morning hydration is one of the simplest and most effective interventions for preventing this cascade. Kidney stone prevention, discussed in the context of lemon water above, fundamentally depends on adequate water intake. Regardless of citrate levels or oxalate management, insufficient urine volume allows dissolved minerals to exceed saturation thresholds and precipitate into crystals. Epidemiological data consistently shows that individuals who maintain higher daily water intake have significantly lower rates of nephrolithiasis across all stone types. However, an important nuance exists that many health communicators fail to address. Overhydration poses genuine risks for certain populations. Individuals with advanced chronic kidney disease, congestive heart failure, or conditions requiring fluid restriction can experience dangerous fluid overload from excessive water consumption. Edema, pulmonary congestion, and hyponatremia, dangerously low sodium levels caused by dilution, are real medical emergencies that result from well-intentioned but uninformed overhydration. Water intake must be individualized based on body mass, physical activity, ambient temperature, dietary composition, and current kidney function. Anyone with diagnosed kidney disease should follow their nephrologist's specific fluid recommendations rather than generic guidelines. The method of consumption affects outcomes. Drinking a large volume rapidly can trigger a diuretic response that expels water before adequate absorption occurs, paradoxically contributing to dehydration. Sipping water gradually over 15 to 20 minutes allows intestinal absorption to keep pace with intake. Room temperature water is absorbed more readily than ice-cold water, which can transiently constrict gastrointestinal blood vessels and slow the absorptive process. Additives deserve scrutiny. Commercially flavored water products, electrolyte packets, and carbonated waters frequently contain artificial sweeteners, sodium, colorants, and preservatives that introduce unnecessary chemical exposure. For morning kidney support, plain filtered water, free of additives, contaminants, and excess minerals, remains the gold standard. If any enhancement is desired, the lemon water preparation described earlier represents the safest and most beneficial modification. If this content is helping you understand how to protect your kidneys more effectively, please like this video, leave your questions and experiences in the comments section, and subscribe so you do not miss the upcoming videos in this series. Spacing water intake throughout the day, rather than consuming large volumes sporadically, provides the most consistent renal support. The kidneys operate continuously, and a steady supply of fluid ensures that filtration and excretion proceed without the interruptions that occur during dehydration cycles. Think of water as the operating fluid for your renal system. Without adequate and consistent supply, every other protective measure becomes substantially less effective. 6. Dandelion root tea. Most people dismiss dandelion as an invasive lawnweed, but the root of this resilient plant has been used in traditional medicine systems across multiple continents for centuries, and contemporary research has begun to validate its relevance to renal health. Dandelion root tea is a caffeine-free, mineral-rich infusion that supports kidney function through diuretic activity and hepatorenal detoxification pathways. The diuretic properties of dandelion root are well characterized. Unlike pharmaceutical diuretics, which can deplete potassium and disrupt electrolyte balance, dandelion root produces a gentler increase in urine output while simultaneously providing potassium, partially offsetting losses. This makes it a more physiologically balanced option for promoting urinary flow and waste clearance. Increased urine volume reduces the concentration of dissolved waste products, lowering the crystallization risk associated with kidney stones and diminishing the contact time between urinary toxins and the epithelial lining of the urinary tract. Dandelion root also contains inulin, a prebiotic fiber that nourishes beneficial intestinal bacteria. As discussed in the smoothie section, the gut-kidney axis represents a significant pathway through which intestinal health influences renal outcomes. By supporting a healthier microbiome composition, dandelion root tea indirectly reduces the production of uremic toxins that the kidneys must process, easing their workload from the digestive side. The antioxidant profile of dandelion root includes polyphenols and flavonoids that contribute to systemic oxidative stress reduction. While these compounds are present in lower concentrations than in green tea, the cumulative benefit of regular consumption adds a meaningful layer of cellular protection for kidney tissue. Preparation requires steeping dried dandelion root in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. The resulting amber-colored infusion has an earthy, slightly bitter flavor that can be softened with a small squeeze of lemon. Avoid adding sugar or sweeteners. Source dandelion root from reputable herbal suppliers to ensure the product is free of pesticide residues and heavy metal contamination. Dandelions growing in treated lawns or alongside roadways may absorb environmental pollutants that would counteract any renal benefit. A reasonable intake is 1 to 2 cups daily. Individuals taking prescription diuretics blood thinners, or medications for diabetes should consult their physician before adding dandelion root tea, as interactions have been documented with several drug classes. Pregnant and nursing individuals should also exercise caution and seek medical guidance. Morning consumption is ideal for the same reasons applicable to other beverages on this list. The post-fasting dehydration state makes the body particularly receptive to hydration and detoxification support. Dandelion root tea reintroduces fluid, stimulates gentle diuresis, delivers antioxidants, and promotes the excretion of concentrated overnight waste, all without caffeine-related stimulation or caloric load. 7 Ginger infused water ginger, one of the most extensively studied medicinal plants in pharmacological literature, offers kidney-specific benefits that are often overshadowed by its more widely known gastrointestinal and anti-nausea applications. When consumed as an infusion in warm water, ginger delivers bioactive compounds, primarily gingerols and shogales, that modulate inflammatory pathways directly relevant to renal health. Chronic inflammation is a unifying mechanism across nearly all forms of progressive kidney disease, whether the initial insult is hypertension, diabetes, autoimmunity, or recurrent infection. The inflammatory cascade that follows damages nephron architecture and promotes fibrotic scarring that replaces functional kidney tissue with inert connective tissue. Gingerols have been shown in laboratory and animal studies to inhibit nuclear factor kappa B, a master regulator of inflammatory gene expression, reducing the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines that drive this destructive process. Ginger also exhibits antioxidant activity that protects renal tubular cells from oxidative damage. The kidneys are particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress because of their high metabolic rate and extensive blood supply. Any organ that processes such enormous blood volumes is necessarily exposed to proportionally higher levels of circulating reactive oxygen species. The antioxidant compounds in ginger neutralize these reactive molecules, preserving cellular integrity over time.